Gabaflow?
Sooner Nation, Thunder Nation, we are back. This is the Just Okay Sports podcast. That's just Oklahoma Sports with a surprise pod that we did not plan to do until 25, 30 minutes ago. Um, both had some
Yeah, something.
downtime and up watching the game. So, anyways, we're going to rock this thing out. I'm Daryl. That's Jared, by the way. Jared, how are you, man?
Good. It's been a Friday. Dude, this week has been like, I felt like Tuesday. I was like, dude, this got to be Friday, right? Like we have to be like, I feel like I've had like 3 weeks in one, but it's Friday, so it's behind me. So yeah, excited. Last night wasn't a lot of fun, obviously. But we get was game three's tomorrow? It's tomorrow,
Tomorrow.
right?
They play every
Yeah,
other day, like
yeah.
throughout the whole
So
series.
yeah. So obviously the good thing is like they don't have a long travel. Um,
Yeah. I
right.
mean,
So
they're going to be
and like
there on their
I think
charter
that's like
plane in 30 minutes, probably.
yeah, I was gonna say I think that's something that people like might not really consider as much, but it's like, dude, it sucks when you have to travel that far and playing somewhere. It's like, dude, Dallas is basically a neighbor. So, um,
Right. Yeah. The
but yeah,
travel side, which for both teams with injuries and things like that, it's going to be good. It's not super long. I mean, I didn't even ask. I assumed Dallas just stayed here, but I mean, this is literally close enough that via plane, you could almost like after the game, fly home, be home and do all your practice and then fly back.
so
Uh,
okay. So can we talk about something that like kind of funny I saw on Twitter yesterday
oh,
about something relevant to the game
okay.
or to the series? Apparently, Luca is now ranked in the top 500 players on Overwatch.
Huh.
So I get and like
Interesting.
apparently this happened like this week. So I don't know when he exactly found the time to do that, but which is crazy, by the way. Like 500 people in the world, he's in that number.
Wow.
So or at least that's how I understood it. And it was like weird, like also like like there's been a little bit of that going on lately. Oh my god, I can't. Why am I blanking on his name now? Oh my god, this is how bad of a Friday it's been. Um, Denver. What's his name?
Denver, Jokic?
Jokic. Yeah, I don't know why I couldn't think of Jokic. Jesus.
Oh,
Jokic is like a big League of Legends player. Anyway, it's just really funny. Like they like how Jokic is usually like Mr. like yes, no,
yeah.
this doesn't help, whatever. Like he doesn't like but like dude, they asked him about League of Legends and he just went crazy. But the funny parts of that to me is we were having this conversation and I just to roll into it because we don't have a flow.
Yeah.
Luca is probably one of my favorite players off the court, but on the court is my least favorite player.
Yeah. Like we were texting with Troy because Troy couldn't jump on, here kind of late afternoon lunch break here. And he said the same thing. He goes, dude, if Luca just wasn't so whiny, he might be the most liked player in all the NBA.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like literally all the stuff he does off the court. Like, I mean, the gaming aside, like he drives cool cars. He seems really funny and personable with everybody off the court. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he seems like a genuinely good dude. And then it's like you get on the court, it's like, bro, I just like last night we were even talking about it. Like when he had that little one incident where he barely gets bumped by door, which it was kind of one of those deals where it looked like it was like when somebody walks up behind you and bumps your knee, like the back of
Yeah.
your knee, and you kind of bow a little bit. It looked like that, and he like acted like he just blew out his whole knee for like 10 seconds for some reason. And then as soon
Yeah.
as the ball gets in his hands, he's like, oh, just like between the legs. And I'm like, okay, bro, like seriously.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
that and just the constant whining gets on my nerves. But I mean,
Yeah.
the dude lit it up last night. He was, especially in that first quarter. I mean, the whole game, but that first quarter, like it's like, dude, I swear he could have thrown the ball behind his back and he would have made it. It was insane.
Yeah. He came out on fire to start the game. There's no doubt. And that set the tone. I mean, that gave Dallas all the confidence in the world. And then you combine that with PJ Washington going nuts in the first half. I think he hit 5 or 6 threes in the first half. He ended up going 7 of 11 for the game. And so then they were just rolling. Now the third quarter, I kind of watched the first half and I tweeted this. I said, look, man, they're shooting like at that point, I believe they were shooting like 55% from three at halftime, something crazy like that. And I was like, look, they ain't going to shoot three that good all night. So if you can get on a run, I think you can really take. And then they did in the third, and I went, here it comes. Like they're
Mhm.
not maintaining it. The Thunder, and then they had some sloppy turnovers, just some sloppy defense. And next thing you know, the Mavs are back up 10, and it's like, okay, like they just answered the bell. And look, my number one overall takeaway before we get down in some weeds and some things is Dallas came out like they were down 2 games to nothing and played with
Mhm.
that kind of energy all night long. And the Thunder just had they had some moments where they looked really good, but they had big moments where they were just kind of like, I think we're up 3-0. Whatever. We're fine. Like it's good. Um, and you just can't do that in the playoffs. I mean, the amount of times, like, and I get it, like a guy drives in the lane and you're all closing down, but then they kick it to the guy on the wing or in the corner, and guys are just standing there going, I'm not even going to close out. Like I'm just not, we're just not going to do it, or there's some kind of pick and roll action and guys just not communicating who has what and who's going where. And so two guys close here and leave that guy wide open. And you could tell it wasn't a design system. It was just they weren't communicating. I mean, it was just a sloppy game. And it literally like a bunch of kids going, we're up in a 3-0 series and it doesn't matter what we do. And now all of a sudden you've lost home court and you're tied 1-1, and now you got to go into the most hostile environment you've ever played in so far in this playoffs.
Yeah, and I mean, and I think that's a big part of it. And I think if you want me to give you my big takeaway, and I guess the maybe a little bit of sunshine pump or whatever positive, it felt like Dallas was playing out of their minds. Like this was not a team that we'd even seen against the Clippers, except for maybe that little section they had against the Clippers when they tried to run it, run back a 30-point deficit. But this felt like a team like Dallas was playing at peak basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Ironically, what's funny about it too is that Kyrie really, I mean, he had a ton of assists, but he didn't score. I think he ended up with like 9 points or
Nine,
something, eight or
yeah,
nine
9
points.
points.
So he didn't. That was the guy we were talking about. Was the guy that was going to have to kind of lead the charge if Luca didn't get things right. Um, but anyway, it felt like the Dallas team really played out of their minds. Like this is the some of the best basketball we may have seen Dallas play in a while. And yet they only won by 9 points. I think it was nine. Was it nine? I think
Mm-hmm.
it ended at nine.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, the Thunder team looked really sloppy. I mean, like that fourth quarter, that last 6, 7 minutes of the fourth quarter just
Oh
felt
yeah.
like I don't even know what you want to call it. It looked like they were just throwing stuff at the wall. I mean, it didn't. Everybody
They
was
they
rushing
panicked,
shots.
completely panicked, and just were like, we got to hit a three, like we got to make a big play, and just were all over the place.
Well, they got away from their identity, right? Like they're
Mm.
that one more pass sort of offense and move the ball, and like it felt like I need to I'd have to maybe I could talk about it the next pod, but it was like I want to go back and watch where it's like how many series did it come down where somebody came down the court, made no more than one pass and then shot the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it was like it didn't even like a lot of those weren't even great looks. It was just
Yeah.
somebody trying to, like you said, just trying to throw the ball up. So I guess to condense that a little bit, it's the Thunder played one of their worst games. That was the worst game they played in this playoff.
I see.
Um,
I still would say game one against the Pelicans was their worst game. I still think that game was worse. The Pelicans are just that bad. Um, and they were
yeah,
able
without
to they
Zion,
pull
maybe,
out a
yeah.
win. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's true. I guess I should say the fourth quarter to me was as bad, especially that second half of the fourth quarter
Yep.
was the worst basketball that I think I've seen the Thunder play, in a long time, not even outside the playoffs. So yeah, I mean that's the bright spot is like the Thunder played one of their worst games, or a much worse than they usually do, and Dallas played much above what they usually
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
So you hope that kind of is one of those things that gets, that was a one off, so to speak. So
Yeah. Yeah. There's no doubt. And by the way, we texted Troy since he couldn't be in, so he's been hitting us up. Some of his thoughts, a little bit like us. He said, focus, focus, focus. Too sloppy on their defensive rotations. Um, He said part of that was the Mavs, but a lot of it was us. Giddy was as bad as I could remember. And he said Dallas, PJ, and Tim Hardaway Jr. Played way, way over their heads in terms of hitting threes. That's not the norm. Neither is our shooting. And so, a little bit what you said. I think there's still plenty of positive in it. And speaking of which, I'm going to be so opposite of what I was for most of the season right here. Definitely one of the negatives that everyone is harping on right now is Josh Giddey. You're
Mm.
seeing people tweet he's unplayable in this series. You got to bench him. You got to bench him. You got to bench him. And look, it's not been pretty. But matter of fact, I'm going to look this up while I'm talking. Um, the thing that I would say though is um, he looked awful in game one against the Pelicans. I
Yep.
mean, awful. And then he basically won game four. I mean, the whole Mark Dagnall getting doused with water and him walking into the locker room going, that's one bad MFer. He was pointing to Josh Giddey. And he was coming in to praise Josh Giddey for his game because of how well he played. And so, like, it just cracks me up that everybody just 2 games ago was talking about how great Giddey's been, and all these things. And now all of a sudden, everybody just wants him off the roster. And look,
Well,
I think you need to give him a short leash. You know what I mean? I think you need to feel him out. But to act like no way, we just can't play this guy at all is, I think we need to slow our roll a little bit there.
and I think people have to. I think people undersell other aspects. He was the first one. Like the team, that's another thing we haven't talked about. They came out in the at the beginning of the game, and the Thunder looked flat.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and nobody was trying to do anything. It felt very. I mean, it literally felt like we were watching the Mavericks of Game One.
Yes.
Nobody was energetic. Nobody was trying to do. They just passed the ball around randomly. Felt like they'd take a shot. Giddy's the first guy that made a drive. Seemed like he put some energy into the team a little bit and kind of got him rolling. I mean, he scored the first goal. Um, and I understand you could look at statistics and all this, and it's like overall, I don't think he had a good game. I'm not trying to say that, but at the same time, he was the first one to ignite that, and it's like if he doesn't do it, I don't know who else does right there because even Shea looked out of it
Yeah.
to start.
By the way,
So
just to give you some perspective, game one of the Pelicans, Josh Giddey was 1 of 6 from the field and 0 of 2 from three in game one. That's
mhm.
16.7% field goal percentage, a 0 3-point percentage. Now, the next game, he shot 33% from 3-point range and 44 from the field. The next game, 61.5 from the field and 57% from three. And then the next game, he was 50% from the field and 66% from three. And that's the game he basically won us the series, right? So, and here's a great example. Here's what's hilarious. I listened to a couple different Mavericks podcasts, like I said the other night, kind of leading into the game one, and they were all like, Tim Hardaway Jr.'s done. He's done. They were like, it's been a month. He's played like trash. If he's one of the first guys off the bench, I'm going to lose my mind. Blah, blah. I mean, they want him out. He won them the fourth quarter. I mean, Tim Hardaway Jr. iced the game. And so, look, this is where you have to trust. It's a little bit different than college in the pro levels, right? As far as that coach is going to lose his job 100% if he can't figure it out. They're not out there trying to play favorites or whatnot, and they know what those guys are capable of. Um, and Tim Hardaway Jr. goes nuts. And so all I'm saying is I think you still start him. I think you still give him opportunity. But look, if his shot, like, look, you could tell the first 3-point shot he took, this ain't going to be it. It wasn't close. It was not like it hit back rim and came out. It was like 5 inches to the right, like 7 inches too long. Like, it was just like that. It's gross. Like, that's it. Like, he don't have it tonight. Like, minutes need to be limited. And so I'm just not done with Josh Giddey yet. Like, look, man, he went on a 2-month run of great basketball. He had a terrible game to start the New Orleans series. He had an game in game two, and then he went nuts the last two. And so I think you still give him a chance. But yes, the leash is short. I'd still agree that Aaron Wiggins should have more minutes. And I think that you saw that last night, and I thought it did help the team once he got in and got going.
Yeah, I mean, and we've talked about this a little bit, especially. I mean, it's true with any level of basketball, but especially in the pro level, it's a fickle and a streaky sort of game. It's like everybody has had games. Shea's had games where he didn't play very well.
Right.
And he just finished in runner up for MVP. We've talked about Jokic. Jokic has had games in their series that he struggled completely.
Mm-hmm.
So like I always hesitate. I mean, I understand the frustration with Josh Giddey, but like you said, overall, I think, like you said, in the last 2.5 months or 3 months or whatever time frame, overall, he's been a very good player.
Yeah.
You can try to highlight the negatives. Okay. I just don't I just think he's a valuable, and that's the thing is this is kind of what they even talked about on the broadcast, and this is what's crazy about this Thunder team. And we talked about this on our last pod. He's one of those parts now of the machine where there's so many pieces that you can put in there. Like there's so many guys that you can put out there. There's so many different combinations. It's not one of those things like, even when you look at like the KD, Westbrook, like those teams, right? When KD came off, even if Russ was out there, it's like, okay, Russ is going to have to bear the load. Or if both of them are off, you saw a huge drop off. And you saw that with all these teams. It's like you really don't see that. And I feel like even with Josh Giddey, he's a big part of like that portion of the team.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that that's important. And I think, like I said, I expect him to bounce back. But I mean, I think people are just trying to grasp onto something to be mad about, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It is what
Yeah.
it is. I'm not mad that I'm not mad that he, or I'm not pleased with his game, but I'm not mad at him. I don't think that we should get rid of him or anything like that. I think that's crazy talk.
Yeah. I'm kind of there, even though I'm the one who was proposing for him to be traded at the trade deadline. And I still think he could be a trade piece moving forward. Like, I'm not married to Josh Giddey. I'm just saying, to act like he's going to go um, and play as bad as he did in game one. And game one was worse than last night. I mean, it
Well,
just
who would you
was.
rather who would you rather put out there, him or Gordon Hayward?
Him. And and
That's what I'm
on
saying.
and here's the other side. For his height, I'd rather put Kenrich out there.
Yeah.
Like this is another question I have. Is Kenrich hurt? And and look, I fully admit with Gordon Hayward, I think I understand why Dagnall keeps putting him out there, because even last night, I don't remember who it was. I want to say it may have been Ryan Stiles that follows the Thunder that tweeted this, but he said at halftime when the team came out that Gordon Hayward did a 5-minute shooting session and he did not miss a 3-point shot. Not one. Like, I watched him the whole time. Every shot he put up went in the basket. The problem is when he gets in the game, I tweeted this last night too. They were like, what adjustment? I was like, we need to undo the vaccine that he took when he got here against basketball. It's like literally he took a shoot the basketball vaccine that just does not let him to. I mean, even in the series, he had one where he gets the ball on the wing, he drives to the lane, and he's either going to get fouled because of the position of the defender, or he's going to dunk it or lay it up, and then he kicks it to the wing. It's like literally he thinks he has a $5 million bonus in his contract if he does not take a shot. And like
Well,
I don't
there was even there
understand.
was there was a play last night where I was cracking up. They passed the ball to him. He's over kind of towards the corner, and the defender's off of him, so the defender's crashing on him. So it's like, okay, you try to take the three, right, and take the foul potentially, or you kind of like you could sidestep and there's an open lane to the goal. And I'm thinking like that's like easy. And like literally like he catches it and it's not even like it's like it looked like it just bounced off his hands over to Shea. And it's like, and then of course, I mean, I'm not trying to say don't give the ball to Shea,
Right.
obviously, but it's like take the shot every once in a while. And even then Shea had to sit there and kind of make something work with it. I mean, I don't remember if he scored or not in that play, but it was like I can remember that play distinctly because I'm thinking like, dude, you had multiple opportunities to do something with the ball there, and you had it like literally he had it for less than a second.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
it's to the point now. If I'm Jason Kidd, I'm like, guys, don't even go out there. Like the whole cross match thing that they do with Giddy, where they put the center and they kind of sink the center. Like, like sink as far in as you can without getting a technical. Like, and
Yeah.
if he gets the ball on the wing, don't even go out there. Like, don't close, don't nothing. Like, leave him alone. Um, and so yeah, I'd rather like and the Dagnall answer for every time he plays Gordon Hayward is, well, we were looking for size. Kenrich gives you size. He's just as tall as Gordon Hayward. He's not as skilled, but if all Gordon Hayward's going to do is hot potato the ball out of his hand, then get Kenrich out there. Kenrich will take an open three. He may not hit it, but he's going to at least keep the defense
Well,
honest.
it's you want a little bit of that. We like Troy, I think, was highlighting it, or maybe you were talking about it, but we talked about a lot on the last one about Chet goes up for blocks, and sometimes he knows he's just going to get dunked on.
Yeah,
It's like you need a guy that's going to take a three and know that he's going to miss a three, but you need that guy that's going to force the defense to play tight on him.
right.
Because there's the risk that he's going to keep hitting threes.
Yeah.
And Jordan Hayward's a good enough shooter. Like we've seen that in his career. That he should be a threat. But it is a weird situation. But yeah, like I said, overall, I don't know what the deal with Gordon Hayward is, but I don't know. Yesterday was just a frustrating game, though, man. Like you saw those moments, like Chet played out of his mind.
Well,
There was a
defensively, I think he did.
defensively, yeah,
Offensively, he had a rough night, but defensively, he was pretty good.
yeah. Sorry, that's what I'm sorry. Like I was just thinking, like some of the blocks he had, I was like,
Yeah.
good God. Like there was one where he should have got posterized, and he just absolutely stuffed him. I mean, he
Yeah.
just was in his grill. Um, so I thought he had a good defensive game. And then like even Shea had there was like I remember that there was probably a kind of in that third quarter, a little bit into the fourth, maybe early fourth, maybe. Shea was just himself and was just doing what he wanted. I mean, some of the moves he can pull are just insane.
Yeah.
Um, and it's like when you see that, it's like you see that he is legitimately a quality MVP candidate. He should have won the MVP. Um, and so it's like you saw a lot of those bright spots. It's just they didn't put it together. It just the energy wasn't there. And the other thing is like it just felt like one of those games where Dallas was able to feed off everything that they needed to. They were able to keep staying hot. Apparently, there
Yeah.
was a bunch of the fans that were heckling Kyrie and
And Luca.
Luca. It's like, dude, you're just pouring gas on the fire,
Yeah.
right? And that just isn't helping. That you could tell Kyrie. I mean, I saw there was like at the end of the game, he was shooting free throws, and there had been a fan heckling him, and he was like waving bye to him and like telling him to get the hell off the
Dude,
court.
Kyrie was
Also,
very engaged with whatever person courtside was giving them the business, which,
what I did feel bad. Was Kyler Murray there last night, or did I
yes.
mishear that?
Yeah.
Okay,
Kyler and James Conner were both there last night.
so last night I was so like during the game I remember I went to I don't remember if I went to like put my plate in the kitchen or something, but they're like, oh, he's getting into it with Kyler Murray, and I went back and rewound it, and it's like Kyler Murray's just standing there. Kyler Murray's not engaged with him at all. Like Kyler Murray's just literally like chilling, and some random fan, I don't know who he is, maybe somebody does, was like yelling at I think Luca. And it's just like, I don't know, dude. It's just so dumb. Like it's like I get it. Like I don't mind a little chippiness between fans and the players, but it's like when you're getting beat, just shut up, Like
Yeah. No,
um
absolutely.
so and like I said, I was a big fan of um I honestly, like I said, even though Kyrie didn't put up a lot of points, I was a big. I mean, made assists. He was always. I think he played a good game, even if you're gonna say, well, he only had 9 points. It's like, dude, he just was. He was just there in the game, engaged the entire time,
And he's
and
been
he
real
made.
sneaky on defense. Just some
Yeah,
sneaky deflections, some
yeah. He
sneaky
had like
like
a.
poke
I
the
think he had like
ball
two.
away.
I don't remember if he had 2 or 3 steals. Maybe I know he had like. I
Yeah.
think he had 2 for sure. So yeah, I mean, he's. You can say whatever you want about Kyrie, but it's like, dude, he played a good game even without the points. So
Yeah. Yeah, again, it's going to be interesting. The thing that you hate about losing this game at home, I think for me is I think it's fair to say the Pelicans atmosphere in the playoffs, especially being down 2 games to none, it's not overly engaged, and that's just not a super connected fan base anyway. Um, Dallas will be. It will be loud. It will be intense. They will be mouthy. They will be into it. And so this will be the first time that the Thunder have really experienced a playoff atmosphere And that's going to energize Luca. He loves that kind of stuff. Your role players play better at home, all the different things. How do they react to that? And if they react poorly, they're going to be down 2 games to 1, and they're going to have to crawl their way out. I still believe this team will split. I still think this is a 7 game series. I mean, again, as well as the Thunder played in game 1, they won. They didn't blow that game open until the fourth quarter, right? And this one, Dallas got off to a huge lead. You cut it down small. They open it up again. The Thunder closed it back down again. And even in the fourth quarter, you felt like they had a chance to come back and win that game, playing as badly as they did, and with Dallas playing as good as they did. But that's the thing; it feels like both games there's been like an un an unattainable high for the Thunder that they is more here. And now in game 2, there's definitely been this unbelievable high for the Mavericks that you feel like is going to come back to here. And if both teams play here, it's going to be down to the final couple possessions of every fourth quarter that there
What
is.
well, and that's something we should talk about real quick. It's just like I said, we kind of talked about it a little bit, but that last six, I think it was about 6, 7 minutes in the game. Dallas was up like 9 or 11, whatever, somewhere in that neighborhood. 9 to 12 points or whatever. The Thunder pretty much shut them down still defensively, and like the Mavericks kind of played a little sloppy too at that point in the game.
Yeah.
And it was like, again, that was what was so frustrating to me, is like you're watching that part of the game, and this is just one of those youth coming out. You don't need to get it's the same thing we talk about with football, where it's like you don't need to get all 100 yards in one
Yeah.
play,
Yeah.
right? Like, take the 2 points, take a layup, move the ball around. You've got plenty of time, and it's like if they had just done that,
Yeah. It
they
could
they
be
could have
different.
even got a big lead.
Well,
I
and
mean, like
even
I
little
said, they
things too, like Shea just not turning his back to the guy that he's guarding and letting him
yeah,
cut straight to the basket for an inbounds dunk when you just got to stop.
yeah.
And then you're fighting for a rebound. It tips out to Tim Hardaway, and everybody just watches him. Nobody closes out and lets him just set his
Which I
feet.
did think. So, and this was funny because I did see some tweets from. It's funny. I think because of the game 1 stuff, I did see some like questions on the officiating, which I did think like there was a foul that they called. I don't remember if it was on Dort, but it was like Luca just and completely shoulder
Oh, yeah.
checked
Yeah.
Dort and initiated contact, and they called it on Dort. I think it was Dort. I could be
Yeah.
misspeaking, but I was like, I don't know how you call that foul.
Well,
And,
I saw, I see what happened. If you watch the play from the get go, they get chest to chest. Luca grabs Dort and pulls Dort in and starts going through Dort, right? So that's where the foul occurs, technically, right? And as he knocks Dort over, Dort reaches around and puts his hand on Luca's back to try to brace himself. But when the ref sees it, it looks like Dort is dragging Luca to the ground when you see the
yeah,
replay, but still, it was a terrible
it's
call.
but well, I was gonna say it. There was that. There was the charging call that
Oh,
that Dagnall challenged that
I
I was like, I didn't understand that at all.
no.
Um, there was some, but it's like again, this was I felt like this game, as much as we could sit here and talk about um poor calls, I didn't really think it was poorly officiated overall. I think
No.
there was calls for both teams.
The challenge
Um,
that I think what exasperated the officiating last night for Oklahoma City Thunder fans was the challenges, right? Like
yeah,
the block on Chet that obviously he gets raked across the arm like crazy, and they're just like, yeah, it's not a foul. And it's like, okay, the charge where even the commentators like, oh yeah, he's outside, he is set, like that's a charge. And then they come back and still, and so it's those ones where again it's in replay and it's in frame by frame, and you're able to see what happened. And same with the Luca play, you get to see the instant replay in slow motion. You go, that's all Luca doing that, and y'all are calling it on like, what are y'all doing? And so, but yeah, I agree with you. It was not. I didn't think it was some atrocious
yeah. The
officiating
the
game.
reviews the reviews were questionable, but it is what it is. I didn't think that it changed the outcome of the game in any way. Um, but yeah, I mean, um, I also still feel like this is another thing. Like I'm gonna say this, and I'm sure there's if there's a Dallas fan that listens to us, they're gonna be mad. Jason Kidd is a terrible coach, in my opinion. I mean, I'm just gonna be like, I'm just gonna be honest. It's like I don't understand like if he didn't have Luca and Kyrie, that are two of the best players in basketball on his team, like this team would be as bad as. I mean, I know it's easy to say the ifs, but it's like there's nothing he does that's special, right? Like Luca's
Right.
just really, really good. Kyrie's
Hmm.
just really, really good. Everybody else played at a higher level, but it's like there's like things that he does where I'm like, I don't understand why you're not. Like there was a series last night. I can't even remember who it was. One of their guys got hurt, who's grasping his hand, could like look like he was going to barely
Oh,
be
it was
able to like.
Gafford. It was Gafford when
It
he
was Gafford,
dislocated
yeah,
his finger slapping against the backboard.
yeah. And he's like grasping his hand, trying like it looks like he can't even like he would be able to shoot or dribble with it. And like they come down the floor and like they set and they like stop. And it's like, okay, you have a number of timeouts. Call timeout and figure out what's going on with your guy. Like this is a big player. This is a big moment. You've got momentum. I understand that, but like you've also got a guy limping around out there that may not even be able to catch the ball. And that happened like a couple of times. There was another play where I don't remember somebody else got like gimped up.
Well, my
And
my
it's just
favorite my favorite moment was when Luca subbed out and Kyrie subbed out at the same time, and the commentator's like, "This is interesting. Oklahoma City's kind of closed the gap, and he's gonna sit Kyrie and Luca." And
yeah.
then literally, because they didn't communicate what they were doing, they both had to sit down because Luke or Kyrie had already left the court, and they had to wait a possession, then sub Kyrie right back in. I mean, like, so it didn't hurt them, but it's just like, bro, like, come on, man. Like you this can't happen. Like that happens in a bad situation and you let that building get going, like that could have spun that game in a heartbeat if play would have gone in such a way where he didn't get to sub Kyrie right back in.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. Like when you watch the Dallas map, like this is like when Troy said it, the disparity between Dagnall and Kidd is crazy. Like it's absurd. Like but I mean, like when you watch the Thunder play offense, right?
Yeah.
For instance, it's like they're moving the ball. Like they have a set, I mean, obviously last night they got a little sloppy, but it's like when they're running the offense, how it's meant to be run, it's organized, it's very like pass the ball. I mean, it's organized, structured basketball,
Yeah.
right? When you watch the Dallas Mavericks play their offense, I guess how they're supposed to play it, it's really just everybody kind of spaces out and you just throw the
And
ball,
pick and
give it to
roll.
Luca.
Pick and
Yeah,
roll.
pick and roll. Like let Luca and Kyrie make some crazy plays or passes and hope for the best.
Yeah.
Like I said, I mean, I just I don't see if they had a good coach, they would be crazy good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Jason Kidd just does. There's a lot of moments like I said last night that I was like, I don't understand why this guy is leading such a good franchise, but
Yeah.
whatever.
Well, it's obvious the players like him. They play hard for him. I think those are the things that they major on, and then they just trust the abilities of Kyrie and Luca to carry them. But I'm with you. I mean, if you could draw some things up a little bit more and do a little bit more, but that's where we are spoiled, I think, with Dagnall and the way his system works with intentional cutting and all those things. Now, I also would say the wildness of Oklahoma City's offense where they are cutting so much that led to a couple turnovers last night too. I mean, there were multiple times where the wing guy is cutting to the lane at the same time that Shea or whoever chooses to drive and they end up in the same spot, and there was one even where Shea like kicked it to the wing and nobody's there because they were cutting, right as they came through. And that was three or four of your turnovers last night, and so um, just a lot, man. But look, I mean, don't let PJ Washington go for 66%, from 3-point range. And, I think you do much better, communicate a little bit better on defense. And at worst, it's a fourth quarter game that you have every opportunity to win. And as far as I'm concerned, you have one of the top 5 players in the world to close it out. And I think you have one of the top 5 clutch players in the world in J-Dub to close it out.
Hmm.
And you're gonna give yourself a chance, and Dallas can say the same thing. Luka's one of the best players on planet Earth. Kyrie's one of the best players on planet Earth. And it's really going to come down to who doesn't make mistakes down the stretch and see where this thing falls. If both teams are playing again at their even keel, I think this is a 7-game series that's going to be just an absolute war. So
Well, and like I said, well, let me ask you this, I guess. Let me ask you first. Who is your player of the game for OKC? Give me one for OKC and give me one for Dallas.
like as far as last night goes,
Yeah.
oh, Shea was our best player, hands down, last night, I thought. And then I mean PJ Washington for them. As great as Luca was in the first quarter, he only scored like 5 points in the second and third quarter. He got him off to a but PJ Washington, I mean, it was just like, seriously? Like this has to end. I mean, even the commentators at halftime like this ain't gonna and it did. I mean, he won them the game with that 3-point shooting.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't disagree. I think those are both good picks, but I guess to pick something different. I'm gonna go Chet. I know he didn't have a good offensive game, but I said defensively he was stellar.
Yeah.
I thought. And like I said, he played tough. That's what I like to see. There was a number of times that he was fighting hard at the rim, and just wasn't giving them that. I mean, that's kind of been the thing that we talked about where when you have especially big guys drive the lane, is Chet big enough? Is he bulky enough that he's gonna be able to sustain that? That's kind of been their weakness all season is that teams with big guys, even like Luca is a big guy that if he drives the lane, that's a lot for this defense to handle sometimes. And Chet, I
Mhm.
feel like answered the call.
Yeah.
Offensively, again, he wasn't stellar, but defensively, like I said, that may be the best game he's had in this playoff. And then offensively, yeah, I guess I'm gonna go because I don't want to pick Luca just because he annoyed me so much last night. I'm gonna go Kyrie. Like I said, he didn't score a lot of points, but he was just involved in the game for them. Constantly, he was moving the ball. He seemed to be he just was that present force at all times, and he made everybody else play better. I mean, he was the one that fed a lot of PJ Washington threes, and he created space and he played smart basketball. I think that's one of those things that again, they were talking about last night. I mean, the announcers even said that he's points and you think he didn't have an impact, and he's had,
Yeah.
I think, maybe the second biggest impact on that team outside of PJ Washington.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, I think there's plenty of room for hope, and there's plenty of room for doubt right now for Oklahoma City Thunder fans. Will that whole youth movement thing we've talked about? Are they too young? And we're gonna find out. They're going on the road, and youth. The coin phrase is role players don't travel and youth doesn't travel. We're gonna find
Mhm.
out, and if it does, all of a sudden the hope goes way back up. If it doesn't, I mean, hey, we said
This
from the
is
get go, with this team, win a playoff series, and they've done it. They've done it. Everything else from now is gravy. Let's see where it goes. Let's see what happens. But I still firmly believe this is a 6 or 7 game series, no doubt.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I mean, um, I think it's a 6 game series, but that's me being hopeful. That's me maybe a little copium.
Yeah.
I
The
I do
only
think
oh, sorry, go ahead.
I just say real quick. I also find it funny that there's a lot of people that are putting it's like, dude, this is one game. I understand the context of it, but still, they've lost one game in the playoffs. Like, let's
Yep.
all
Well,
in the scheme of things what we talked about is if they get out of the first round, you can already consider this somewhat of a
yeah,
success.
exactly.
So
Well, and here's the other deal. This is my superstitious side. They had not lost a game since April 5th. It's been a month since they've lost a basketball game. And with a healthy Shea, they haven't lost a game since like March 20 something, like 22nd or whatever. So it's been a
right,
month and a half. Like, I'm sorry, but in basketball, especially, you're just due losses. Like I almost chalked up like their lack of focus and all that stuff is just, you guys were due. You were just due for a bad game. Like you were due for a night that even when you're playing bad, it doesn't go your way. You've had it. Now let's do it. Now, if Dallas does this again, okay, then we've really got a problem on our hands, and maybe this is where it all starts to fall apart. But still fully confident in the team to bounce back and get things going. So
yeah. This is like you said. This is Next game is big. You either respond and you use that as fuel to get back in it and just do what you do and be as dominant as we think you can be, or you're going to cave under the pressure. So
And I really hope, which I don't think it will, but I'm very curious knowing how many people from Oklahoma live in the Dallas Metroplex. I am very curious to see what the number of Thunder fans are in that arena. And I know for a fact, I know like 7 or 8 people who are traveling to Dallas for the game Saturday. And the fact that I know that many people just at random, they're like, oh yeah, I'm going. It's like, okay, let's see what we got. And it would be awesome. It would be awesome if that place just had a load of them. So all to say, for the 2 people that listen, if one of you happen to be a Thunder fan that lives in Dallas, get a ticket and go to the game. Get a ticket and go to the game. You won't be disappointed. It'd be awesome.
yeah, yeah, that would be it'd be a fun game to go to.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. The only other Oklahoma sports news, and I'm not even going to waste a bunch of time on it, but Jermaine Lole, our portal addition to the Oklahoma Sooners, decides to go to Texas yesterday. Okay, you
Dude,
know,
it's so, I mean, like it's not saying it's a good thing, but it's like you got Dominic Williams. Like I don't. It is what it is. I think this is one of those things where he saw the writing on the wall that he wasn't going to be. It is. I just don't. Everybody's trying to say, "Oh, Oklahoma is poor and they can't afford him now." It's like I
yeah.
don't think that that's the case.
I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, knowing some of the people that we know and some of the things that we've heard, yes, somebody upped the NIL deal. And I just think that, look, OU is definitely, with the Dominic Williams, shown they're willing to spend money. That's there. At the same end, when you've already agreed upon your contract, when you've already agreed upon everything, and you say, I'm committed, and then all of a sudden you want to come back and go, well, I know I said yes, but I just feel like Brent Venables at that point was like, yeah, we're good. Like, we're not playing that game. We're not doing that. And so, I mean, good luck to him. And look, he will probably be one of their most primary D tackles there, as where he was going to be a very rotational piece here. And so, good luck to the guy. But that was so random that just happened yesterday. Felt like we needed to at least address it, before next week. So, anyways, good luck to you, Lole. Hope you have fun. We'll see you in Dallas. So, that's all we got. Again, we just wanted to do a quick one. Try to calm your nerves, give you a little hope, give you a little bit of feedback on the game last night. It was a good one. Who knows how much we'll get to do these, and it just worked out we could today, so we thought we'd give it to you. So, anyways, again, we're not insiders or anything else, so please subscribe. Please comment, YouTube, all the different things. Leave a comment. If you're on Spotify, we try to do polls with every podcast, so please jump in there, do that. We're having a great time. Hope you are too. I'm Daryl. That's Jared. We'll talk to you guys later.
Bye, Baker.